Okay, so to start this section of the course, Valorant as a team game, we're going to start off by understanding what kind of preparation goes in at the beginning of a round for both defense side and attack side. So what comes into preparation if you're defending a map and you're playing on a team environment, the biggest things you will see are either a default setup and different looks for these setups or a set play. It's that easy. So if you look at pro matches, for example, which is the ones you have easily more access to, you see literally professionals playing the game in a team environment every day, practicing every day. And you can easily notice that everything they do at the beginning of a round, in terms of preparation, and by that I mean stuff that they have practiced before, and knowledge of how everyone is going to move and set up accordingly, are either default setups, so they have like some setup where you have one player on A, another player on B, another player on mid, and then they have different looks to these setups where maybe one time this guy on mid is going to have this kind of utility being used in the beginning, and on another round is going to have different kind of utility being used, and there's going to be some kind of synergy as well happening with some other teammate or maybe multiple teammates at the same time. And those are basically just default setups and the kind of the different looks you can give to the same setup. And then the other thing you'll see are just set plays. So usually set plays mean you're gonna be more aggressive in terms of utility that you use. You're gonna use more utility and maybe more people as well on a specific part of a map, and you're gonna take control of it, maybe go for a kill, maybe even invest in ultimate, and it's basically gonna be a more all-in strategy, but people will do that, and they do that basically every game in every map. You just have to choose the right moment to go for it, and it can get you a lot of value in return. Okay, so to give you an example of what just an example of a default setup can look like is something like this. So if we're playing on Haven and on defense, we can have this default setup where we play Sova and Jet towards A, Bridge towards the B and B link or A link, and then we can have, for example, Astra on C and the Killjoy on Garage, right? And this is one setup. And now, if you wanna, let's say you have the first look, which is something like this, for example, and alarm bot here. Okay, and the idea is to just dart and that goes short, something like this. And with the stun. Okay, so this is an example of a normal, just one setup we can have, right? Then to give this setup a different look, what we can do is we position ourselves within the same region but in a different manner and use our utility different. So maybe we don't use this stun on A, maybe we just do, maybe we have the jet go short instead of long, and we can do like an Astra smoke here, and maybe we just throw a shock dart instead of a scan with maybe another star in here, Astra star. And then at the same time, we can have a different setup in here. So maybe Astra plays on Garage this time, and we can have a setup where we have Killjoy turret here. And I've actually seen teams do something like this, where they have this Killjoy turret here, and then Killjoy ready to play off the contact with an Astra star here. And then Sova might have his ultimate ready to play off this alarm bot and turret setup, and then the Killjoy can swing and the Astra can smoke doors and jump out of the smoke, for example. So this is another example of what the same setup with a different look can look like, right? So in this case, we're still playing around the same positions, but the utility we use is completely different than the first one. Another one we can see on the Fnatic VOD that I review is they start with, I think, Killjoy towards C. I'm not sure how the utility was disposed exactly, but let's say something like this. I don't think it was, but let's say it was something like this. And then on A, it doesn't really matter much what they're doing. You're just gonna take information on A lobby with Sova utility. Maybe they'll smoke this time. And what they do is on mid, they smoke window and they insta stun with breach towards this area, and the Astra just takes a quick peek. So in case the enemy team was trying to go really quick here, they could get a pick. And if no one's coming, the Astra just comes back, and everything is good. And this is still a different look to the same initial setup, because we're still playing Killjoy around this area and these two guys around this area and Breach around this area. And it's true that Astra is a bit off over the usual zone, but she can just flex into garage right after this pick. So like 10 seconds in, 15 seconds in, everyone is back to their initial position. So this is all the same setup, but just different looks. And teams have this kind of things programmed before they play a match, and then the IGL will just call them accordingly to what he predicts the enemy team will do, and kind of also adapting to what they've been doing on the previous rounds. Sometimes it's even before the game starts, they already know what they're going to do in the first round, just as kind of an anti-strat after analyzing a couple of votes from the other team and what they're doing in the beginning of the game, etc. So now a different setup would be something completely different. To give you an example of what the completely different setup would be, is maybe you just play Killjoy on A alone, and like Jett on B, with Breach over here, Astra here, and Sova here, and you play a more heavy kind of setup towards C, where basically everyone's position has changed, and now you can do, I don't know, you can even just play retake-ish on A. Maybe this way you're just playing full retake, and you have all of these guys playing to control garage, right? You can have Astra utility here and play on contact. If they like Sova just holding contact, and if they push or if they get smoked, we can throw util and stun. This is just a completely different way of spreading people throughout the map and to use their utility. And you're still fighting for different parts of the map. It's just the utility you're using on each of these places is completely different, right? And then you can have the Jett opping mid somewhere, and you just play retake B with all these people close. And on C, we don't have any Killjoy utility, we have it all on A, right? So this is also an adaptation. You can maybe call this setup if a team is never going A, for example, and you just want to have this cluster of people over here. And if you also feel like you don't need Killjoy util, if they do go A, we can maybe retake with Killjoy ult, so we don't need the Killjoy util for anything else other than delaying, So this is maybe a setup you would call for those kind of situations. So I think with these two examples, you can understand what it means to have different setups and what it means to have the same setup with different looks. So the other thing you can have on defense is set plays, as I said before. And just to give you an example of what this means, as I said before, this usually means committing more utility and more people towards one area. So what this also means is if it doesn't work out, or even if it does work out, usually what's going to happen is the attacking team is going to probably have a fast reaction after they notice what we're doing. So whatever we're doing, if the enemy team notices it, which they will most of the time, they will have a fast reaction and say something like, okay, well, they're pushing this way, let's rush the other way, and they're going to take space really quick on the other side of the map, because they understand that we're putting a lot of people in one place, meaning the other place should only have one person holding it, and they should take the other side as fast as they can, right? So this is the kind of reaction you will have. The good side of it is that you might get people off guard and not ready for the kind of util you're doing at a specific moment in the game, and this will get you a kill. And I think that's the biggest goal you're going for, is a kill. And if you don't get a kill, at least if you get a lot of map control, that can be really good too. And if you just don't get nothing out of it, that's okay sometimes as well. But it's still not a good play to do every round, but it's a very good type of play to have in your playbook to not become predictable and kind of don't fall into the weaknesses your normal setups would have. So to give you an example, one that Fnatic like to do a lot is I don't remember exactly who's on mid. I think it's Astra and Breach maybe, and I think he just stuns like this. So as soon as a round starts, he stuns like this, and they Astra smoke here, and they Astra smoke here. And the Jett just goes all this way, and it is safe because of the smoke. And I believe the Astra goes in and helps him, and the Breach as well, just if people push the smoke. And while he's doing this, he's just gonna, the idea of the Jett is just to swing here behind this smoke, and Sova is gonna be darting outside of A, maybe from here, and the people outside of the smoke are gonna get scanned, and Jett can get a free kill and then fall back, okay? So that's the idea of the smoke. Maybe smoke can be something like this actually, so you can get inside. If people are inside, they will be stunned anyways. So that's the idea of this strat, and we've seen it work a lot of times. If people are here, it's not an easy strat to stop. You can also have maybe an Astra Star in here just to scare them, because they don't want to get sucked, Astra sucked, whatever. So this is the kind of set that can work really well. But imagine if people just started more people towards this as the enemy team, and as soon as they see all of this util being used, or even towards here, they're gonna instantly try to split, you know, because they know, okay, we have a lot of people here, there's probably one on A, so they know there's probably only one around this C area or garage. So they're gonna force C really quick, okay? So this is the kind of set plays you can see. To give you another example, you can maybe do something aggressive on C as well. So maybe you can do a insta jet dash downwards with a bridge stun over here, and like Astra suck on there, and the stun over here, for example, and you just insta rush, and then you can also have a breach flash before he peaks. And this is another kind of fast play you can do, and you want to have someone also following the jet, so maybe the Astra can be following the jet, and then you have like Sova on A and just Killjoy watching B on her own. So this would be an example of another set play you can have, completely different than the first one. I'm not sure if people have done this or do this in pro games, but this is definitely a play that you can do, and it's just maybe for more specific situations. But you can do it and it will work. Maybe you want to do this when you have jet knives, or maybe you want to use an ult. Like, I'm not using any ults in this kind of set plays, but you can use ults and you should use ults for set plays as well. So I think this should give you an idea of what I'm talking about, and this is what you'll see teams do when it comes to defense in the beginning of a round, and it's always stuff that they have prepared and practiced before most of the time.